Okay, so it's time for me to do the big review of 2XKO's Alpha Lab. I've played this game for nearly a week now since the Alpha Lab started. And as always, keep in mind that this is an early build. There's a high chance that a lot of the feedback that I'm about to give is stuff that the devs have already maybe fixed or they're already aware of and they're working on. So yeah, they might know about a lot of this stuff already, but we'll look over the good and the bad, see what's going on, what should be changed, what I like, what I disliked, that kind of stuff. So I guess just to start off with a quick summary, I like this game quite a lot. I think it's a lot of fun to play. I think it has a lot of depth and a lot of potential, but also it could use quite a bit of polish before the final release. You know, they're calling this an alpha. That, I don't know if alpha is maybe not the right term for it. You can argue about what the word alpha actually means a lot in software development. It feels a lot further along than an alpha, but it does. I do think there is some stuff that they could improve, like any fighting game. So let's start off with, I'm going to start off talking about like the actual like package that you get in the Alpha Lab and things outside of like the core game mechanics first. So for example, right off the bat, I'm going to talk about like the stability of the PC port. That's what I've been playing on. This is the PC version. I can't speak to the PS5 version. Overall, I didn't really have any major issues, things like crashes or like, you know, major bugs. There was a few minor ones. I did have a couple of sound issues where the music cut out a couple times, but nothing too severe. I've also heard that the game runs really well on like low spec PCs, which is definitely good because that can expand this game's like potential audience. The main issue that I had in terms of the PC port is that I did have some pad issues, which was a bit of a letdown. I play on a PS5 controller, this thing, the DualSense. And this did not work natively on the PC port, which I feel like it kind of should. This is like the default controller that most people are going to be using. The left analog stick was not mapped properly in the game, and it was very difficult to get it to work. So I have actually submitted feedback already for that. I was able to fix it by using Joy to Key to like remap my left analog stick to different buttons. But yeah, there was some, I think some people did have some issues with like controller compatibility that could probably do with some improvements. Okay, up next, let's talk about the UI, since I'm in the game right now. I felt like the UI still needs quite a lot of work. I don't know how far along this UI is in terms of like the development cycle. It's a bit messy at the moment in some places. Like you can see that like the PC settings screen looks a little bit work in progress than the other screens. I do think these menus are also quite unintuitive. Like one thing that I noticed multiple people saying is that they had absolutely no idea how to get into training mode. I don't know if you guys had this issue at all. There was a lot of people like in the lobby who were sending messages saying that they couldn't find training mode. I saw like 3 or 4 people say this. Most of the menus are like navigated by scrolling with L1 and R1. And it's not that clear. I don't know if at a glance how this works. I mean, it's one of those things where like once you know it and once you see it, it's super obvious. But like at a glance, maybe the L1 and R1 icons could probably be a little bit more clear so that people can see that they can scroll horizontally on like these menus and stuff. A lot of people were quite confused by that. So yeah, I think the UI could use a bit of polish. All right, let's talk next about the lobby. Yeah, so I was expecting to hate these lobbies because the ArcSys style lobbies where you like run around an arcade and like sit down at the setups are really overdone, and they're usually kind of clunky and buggy, and they're just a little bit awkward. They're overused and they generally don't work that well. But actually, I found the lobbies in this game really good. I have to give it up. They did a great job with these lobbies. And by far, the coolest feature ever, I gotta say, you can see it in the background there. I think it is so fucking sick that you can spectate matches from the lobby like it's just a screen in the background. Like, that is so cool. That might be one of the coolest features in this game. Like, by default, you guys can see in the background there, it's just passively playing a replay of like the spectator view of that match. You can also customize the size, and you can also just walk up to any setup. Like, this is so cool. Like, you just walk up to any setup with a match in progress, and it just instantly loads the match in and shows you what's going on. You just walk up to the cabinet and you get an instant preview. I don't think any fighting game has done this before. You can toggle the size, you can make it a big picture. It's just like real life. This is sick. I really, really like this, and I hope more future fighting games do this, because It's so annoying when you want to spectate a match and it forces you to like sit down at the setup and then like load into the match. Like it's, you know, you got to sit through the loading screen, wait 20 seconds for the game to catch up. This thing is astonishingly fast at just like, you walk up, look at the time here. Look how quick this is. If I want to watch this match, I walk up to the cabinet and what is this, about 3 or 4 seconds wait? And then we're in. Like, I can't even comprehend how they got this to work. It's insane to me. So yeah, I basically have only positive things to say about the lobby. It's really good, as much as I didn't want to admit it. Okay, up next, let's talk quickly about training mode. I'm a big training mode monster, so I always like to like test the training mode features and see how they are. My experience with the training mode is basically that it's pretty good. It's got, I would say, like 99% of the features that you'd want in a good training mode. We've got frame data, we've got all the information displayed on the screen, all that stuff. You know, you can turn on in-game hitboxes and hurtboxes and stuff. Hitbox and hurtbox display, collision display. Look, there's so many things in here. You can have colored frame advantage. There's so many things in here that other games are lacking. Like even Street Fighter 6, as good as that game's training mode, it doesn't have like a hurtbox viewer built in, which is unfortunate. This game does, which is really cool. One of the things that I will say is notably missing from this training mode, which I really hope makes it into the final release, is save states. I'm sure that will make it in eventually. I am a huge proponent of save states, especially for like labbing combos. If I want to like lab a long combo and see what like works at the end of the combo, it's kind of annoying not having save states and having to go through the entire combo from scratch to do it. But yeah, I'm sure they'll add that before the final release. But overall, yeah, it's a really solid training mode. Not much to complain about there. There's also a lot of really good shortcuts as well. I should point out, if you guys don't know, this is a really useful feature, and I don't think it's listed anywhere, so I'm not surprised this isn't more well known. But if you want to train with a team, sometimes what you want to do is switch characters so that your point character is now the second character and your second character is now the point. And it's really annoying, like every time you reset training mode, having to like tag out each time like this. But actually, you don't have to do that. If you hold the assist button like that, and then tap training mode reset, it now permanently switches your character order. So now every time I reset, I'm just Braum. And if I do it in reverse, like this. Okay, now every time I reset, I'm Echo. So a lot of people I saw were going back to the character select screen to change their team order. You actually don't need to. There's a built-in shortcut for it, which is really nice. I have a very minor nitpick about training mode, by the way. I just want to drop this in here. It's specifically this stage. I don't know, maybe I'm the only person on the planet that's complained about this. But have you guys noticed that the input history on the left side of the screen is exactly the same color as the sky on this stage? To the point that you literally can't see the numbers in the top left-hand corner. Like, you straight up just can't read anything in the top left-hand corner of the input history because it's the same gray shade. That's probably, they probably should add like some kind of text border up there because you literally can't read it. It's the same color as the sky. Accessibility issue. But yeah, that's just a very small nitpick. All right, so yeah, let's move on. Let me be critical about one thing, and I think this is something that almost everyone has been critical of, the tutorial. I think pretty much everyone's mentioned this by now, and I think even the devs have responded and sort of, yeah, addressed this. This game's tutorial feels like a bit of a misstep. In the Alpha Lab, at least. It's very bare bones. There is very little here. It's a few, like, beginner drills, which is completely missing, by the way. It's quite a few core system mechanics. Like, the game straight up, I don't think it has a single tutorial for push blocks and stuff like that. It's just straight up missing explanations of some system mechanics. It gives you, like, the absolute minimum, and that's it. And I mean, it's easy to say that's expected because this is just an alpha to get people tested, but I think it still feels like a misstep to not have more than this. Because I think for a lot of people, this tutorial and this Alpha Lab is going to be people's first ever exposure to 2XKO. Like if you were not already like playing at EVO, or you weren't invited to one of the closed events, for most people, this is going to be the first time they ever get a chance to have their hands on the game. And so that's why like not having any kind of like in-depth tutorial feels like a big mistake. Because I'm kind of concerned that quite a few people, like maybe like non-fighting game people, will be, like, straight off the bat will have a bad impression, which I'm sure they'll fix by the time the full release comes out, but you've already kind of soured some people's opinion. I'm sure there's a lot of people who thought, I have no idea what I'm doing, the tutorial barely covered anything, this game's probably not going to be for me. Like, I think you've already, like, soured some people's opinions early, which probably is not great. They can fix it, but it definitely feels like a mistake to me, so, yeah. So that's sort of more the sort of system mechanic level stuff I've just covered. I think now I'm going to get into more of the specific gameplay critiques. So let's start with a few things that people have been sort of like bringing up. The most common things that I see. Number one is combo length. A lot of people are saying this game's combos are too long. So combo length is one of those things that's very subjective. There's no real like correct answer to how long a combo should be. It's like, you know, how long is a piece of string? But from my experience, the combo length was generally okay, with one glaring exception. This lady right here. I think Ahri definitely needs her combos to be adjusted. Most other characters do have long combos if you spend lots of resources and, you know, like meter dump, sort of to end matches. But Ahri's like average combo from like a BMB is obnoxiously long. And it's not just that they're long. Like, it's not just that her combos are long, it's the fact that they're so monotonous. It looks like she's just doing the same thing over and over and over again. It's like S1, S1, jump, S1, S1, jump. You just... Like, it's just basically... I don't even know what the combo is, but it basically looks like this. I don't know what the actual moves are, because I don't play this character, but it just goes on so long. And it's so boring and repetitive. It just looks like an infinite that you repeat 3 or 4 times. And I think one of the other things that I noticed is that, like, there's been quite an effort in this game to kind of, like, regulate characters' combo potential based on spacing. So what I mean by that, for example, is, like, for most characters, you only get a really good combo if you start point blank. So, for example, like, Echo does not get good combos from, like, max range 5H. Braum does not get great combos from, like, max range without doing, like, tag cancels and stuff. So most characters in this game, you have to make kind of like concessions with your combos depending on spacing. But Ahri doesn't have to do that at all. Her combo, her 45-minute long S1 combo, you can do it from point blank or you can do it from like 2/3 screen. It doesn't matter. Her BMB goes on forever and she never has to like make any adjustments for distance. It's completely outside of the average. I actually think that her combos aren't even an issue in terms of like damage output. It's literally just the length. So I think all they really need to do is just shorten her combo. They can keep the overall damage exactly the same. The damage output of her combos doesn't feel like an issue. It's just they're so boring and so repetitive. But for most other characters, I don't think it's much of an issue. Maybe a couple of Yasuo combos are also a little bit lengthy, but I think it's only Ahri that really sticks out to me. The other thing is, speaking of Ahri and combo length, where is it? That. This right here, if you're not familiar, is Ahri's back assist. Now, this assist is bugged right now. The devs did come out and say this thing is not working as intended because apparently this doesn't scale at all. So it like makes combos do way too much damage with this thing. The Vegeta assist, yeah. Super Saiyan Vegeta has returned. This assist, even if they fix the bug where it's not scaling properly in combos, I still think it's too much. It doesn't really match with the combo ability of any other character's assists. It's a multi-hitting projectile, which is already really good. Like, most assists in this game are just like a single hit like that. Having a multi-hit projectile is already really good. But I think it's also the only assist in the entire game which OTGs. Any character that has a move which does like fixed hit stun, if you just pick 2x assist Ahri with it, you can just do these really dumb loops that go on forever at the end of your character's combo. So like, for example with Echo has this move right here. This is his forward S1. It ends in a hard knockdown, and it does fixed hit stun. So even if you do this right at the end of a combo, it will pretty much always connect like every hit. Take a break. Now, the issue arises when you combine a move like this with Ahri's assist that I just mentioned, because then stuff like this happens at the end of combos. Stuff like that. Just being able to loop an OTG into a fixed move at the end of a combo is like really lazy combo routing, and it just like artificially extends your combos. But like almost every character in the game can abuse this. Again, it doesn't really add much to the combo damage. I'm not saying this is a damage issue. I'm just saying in terms of combo length, that assist I think is just doing too much. Let's talk about TODs up next. TOD stands for Touch of Death, and this game does have Touch of Death combos. Let me show you one real quick. Actually, I don't even need to show you in-game. I can show you a video that the devs themselves uploaded. Wait, hang on.
This
It was
tutorial
around here
so
somewhere. Yeah, so they're talking about
if I try this
TODs.
character, what should I be doing?
Complexity, like what
Touches
are the
of
thoughts
death.
around that with the team?
You know, we expected a lot of this. However,
Oh, you guys
we wanted
can't
to
see. Wait, my head's in the way.
Additional ways that people were digging into this. And what do I mean?
Look at this gormless
We
idiot
just tuned the damage up.
doing a
We'll
touch
manage
of
to go a
death
little
with
bit more
Braum.
Quickly, be a little bit faster paced and a little bit more explosive. But also, you know, when paired with
Who is that guy?
two champions, like hitting a single character, or some of our fuses like Double Down, which lets you combo super into super, or even Fury, which lets you, you know, get a boost of extra damage when you're low on health. These are some of the things we expected to see.
So, yeah, I was used as an example of like one of the TODs that might get toned down. Apologies to the Braum Echo community. I might have ruined it for the rest of you guys. In fact, let's go for the really stupid one. Let me hold on. If I'm gonna just show a TOD, I might as well go all out and show the stupidest TOD. There we go. That's the really obscene one. This game does have some pretty high damaging combos, especially Double Down. So, yes. But that being said, despite having shown you all the TODs, I actually don't feel that strongly about this one as an issue with the game. The thing about TODs is that the main ones being done right now are abusing the bugged Ahri assist. So like, this is an example of the kind of TODs that are being done right now. But as you can see, this one is just abusing the Ahri lack of scaling bug.
Why'd you get hit? Why'd you get hit, bro? What were you doing? Holy shit, easiest TOD in my life.
So like, these ones are going to be gone. Like, they've already talked about the Ahri assist not scaling properly, which is why this happens. Like, the first, like, if you just look at like the first like 3 moves in this combo, they've already lost 50%. I wouldn't worry about that kind of TOD because that one's just based on a glitched assist. And the remaining TODs that are in the game outside of that are very expensive generally in terms of meter. And they can only be done when the opponent has close to 0 burst gauge as well. So you'll only usually see them like in final round scenarios where you start the round with like 3 bars for both your characters. And I think that's fine. Like, I haven't, it's just, I guess it's a difference of opinion, but I think TODs in a game like this are okay, provided that you're investing a shitload of resources. So, I don't know. I agree with the combo length complaints, especially with Ahri, maybe, but I'm not sure I agree with all of the complaining about Touch of Deaths in this game. They're relatively rare, and most of them are very expensive. Next thing I want to talk about real quick is fuses. So, if you guys don't know, I won't do a full breakdown, but this game has fuses, which are sort of like styles, I guess, in other games. And they let you choose the properties of your team. They're like a bonus thing that you pick outside of your characters that give you like extra effects. And I think these are relatively well balanced, except for one. So, effectively, this one is not really a fuse. This one's fine. Pulse is just like the beginner fuse. If you want to get your friend playing fighting games for the first time, just tell them to play Pulse. Pulse just gives you auto combos, so that if you mash one button, you will automatically do a combo. That one's fine. That one's not meant to be used in a competitive scenario, because like competitively this thing's useless. But that's fine. This is just meant to be like an onboarding fuse for beginners. So Pulse is fine. Freestyle, Double Down, and 2x Assist are all really well balanced, I think. These all have like very well distributed strengths and weaknesses. So these 3 are fine as well. The one that I think needs either redesigning or heavy changes is Fury. Fury is basically useless right now, I think, apart from like a couple of very niche things like doing wake up DP into dash cancel. So here's the thing. Fury was originally meant to be the default fuse for beginners in the earlier builds of this game. This was because the idea was that the effect of Fury is mostly passive. You get a damage boost when your health is low, and you can also do a dash cancel in certain situations. It was meant to be like the beginner fuse, but then later, in later builds, they added the auto combo fuse. So now Fury doesn't really have a niche. Like, if you're brand new to the game, you should be using Pulse, and if you're trying to learn the game more seriously, you should be learning Freestyle, Double Down, or 2x. So Fury doesn't really have a target demographic right now, I think. So yeah, I think Fury needs some changes. I'm not sure exactly what the right decision is to make it. Maybe give you access to the dash cancel earlier in the round. I'm not sure exactly how to change it, but I just feel like right now Fury just doesn't have much of a niche. All right, up next, I want to talk quickly about defensive mechanics in this game. I really like this game's defensive mechanics. I really like parry. The parry in this game is really satisfying to use. It adds a lot of depth, and it adds a lot of counterplay to like a lot of very autopilot things in this game. Like, and it's just satisfying to land. It's just quite satisfying to see that big like screen flash, knowing that you hit the parry, and then you can usually get like a punish afterwards. It's cool. My problem with this game's defensive mechanics is that so many of them are gated behind your super meter. So for example, both parry and push block cannot be performed until you have 1 bar of super. And in this game, you start with 0. And the reason that I don't like that is because I feel like there's a bunch of moves in this game that are designed to be beaten by parry. Like, the counterplay to them is parry. So I find it kind of weird that for the first like 30 seconds of a round, you just don't have your counterplay option at all. Let me give you a good example of this. Like, Darius is the one I'm always going to go to for this. So like a move that I'm sure you guys have all been traumatized by in this alpha is Darius S2 S2, which looks like this. This thing, the cleave. This hits from miles away. It's a frame trap in between the 2 hits, and it bleeds you on hit. It's a really good move. And this move, this sequence, the S2 S2, is pretty much designed, I think, to be countered by parry. And it's very satisfying when you do it. It feels very nice to stop a Darius player from going autopilot on you. There you go. So stuff like that feels incredibly satisfying. You identified the right move, you responded with the parry, you get the dash afterwards into a full combo. Like, that's very satisfying. I really like that about the game. But, like I said, the problem is you don't have access to this move at round start. So, like, watching Darius players just run wild for the first 20 seconds of a round because you don't have access to your strongest defensive options feels kind of bad. If it's round 1 and the Darius players just start spamming S2 S2, like, you have very limited options to counterplay this, and you're just gonna probably bleed without much say in the matter. So, yeah. I think it would be nice if you had earlier access to your defensive mechanics. Alright, we're getting near the end now. I got 2 more things to raise, and then we're done. This is a very minor criticism. I don't even know if you call it a criticism, but it's just something that I would probably not have it the way it is right now. Burst baits. So, when you bait someone's burst in this game, it is very satisfying. Let me just show you what a burst bait looks like. Yeah. So if you know your opponent is going to try and burst your combo in this game, and you block it, this happens. The screen suddenly flashes red, and they get sent flying away. Now, the problem I have is that what happens after the burst bait is very finicky and very weird and feels very inconsistent. So what's supposed to happen is that this is what's meant to happen. The opponent is meant to fly away, then they're supposed to get wall bounced, and then you get a full combo afterwards. Like, usually that's what's meant to happen. This is the general idea of how you're supposed to punish burst. But the wall bounce, I find, is very finicky and very awkward, and especially in the corner is where it starts to get even weirder, because, like, in the corner, it still does the wall bounce, which can actually be very awkward to pick up from sometimes. Because you'll notice that if I bait the burst in the corner, they wall bounce in a very weird way. Sometimes they stay in front because they're getting blocked by Braum's body here. Sometimes they get wall bounced and end up behind me. And like I have to then like try and pick up a combo with like a micro dash. Because they're no longer in the corner. Like I have to try and like dash out and get the pickup from there. It's not a very clean way of like rewarding you for baiting a burst. I kind of wish they just got rid of the wall bounce entirely and just made it so that if you get burst baited, they just pop up in the air a little bit for a juggle. Like that seems a lot simpler to me. Because I've had lots of situations where I've successfully baited my opponent's burst. And then it's very awkward to pick up a combo afterwards because like they bounce off the wall in a very weird way. So yeah, I'd like to see that tidied up a little bit if it was up to me. And the last thing, the last bit of feedback I'll give, this is just a selfish personal request of mine, but I would really like if this game had pre-round movement. So when you load into a match in this game, when the round first starts, your characters just start posing at each other like JoJo's characters. They just start hitting taunts at each other. It's kind of weird. So you get the intro character cutscenes, obviously. And then during this get ready screen, you see Braum just starts hitting a taunt like that. You can't move at all during that screen. It's very common in lots of anime games and in lots of versus titles like the Marvel vs. Capcom series, that for those first like 1 or 2 seconds before the round actually starts, you can still move. You can't do attacks, but you can still try and like reposition yourself just right before the round starts. And I really like that. I think it adds a lot of depth to these kinds of games because space control is so important. The problem with having like fixed positions at round start, I think, for this kind of game is that it overly benefits some characters and it sort of like hurts others. So for example, like if you've got a character with a really long range fast attack, all you have to do is just spam it at round start. Like I've won neutral so many times in this game by just waiting till round start and then just doing this. I just immediately start with Braum's S2 because it's like perfectly spaced at round start. There's like no mind game here. I'm just immediately doing this straight away. Anyway, those are my thoughts about 2XKO. I'm really excited to get my hands on the final release when it comes out in the year 2077. Let me know what you guys think. If you got into the beta or if you got into the alpha even, what did you guys think? Did you have fun? Did you have any criticisms, any feedback? Let me know down in the comments section, and I will see you guys all in the next video.